All right, this should be our final game here at 7Q, and we'll just have to see how things change. I believe this is game 5. I'm fairly certain, I think. So let's get into a game and see how it goes. Did not take too long. I am white. Let's just say hello first. Supposed to be nice on this server. Okay, so I'm going to make sure there's no cross opening. I like to keep it very simple. Even though I do think a cross opening is good for white, honestly. And to make the game just a little bit off, not just all 4 4s, I'm going to do at least 1, 3, 4. Oh, they are going to do a Sanrinsei. That should be kind of fun. So the thing I really like to do against Sanrinsei is just let them play it out and see what they decide to do. And what I mean by that is I just like to approach. It's easier for them to approach on the bottom than it is for them to approach on the top because of the orientation of my 3-4 stone. So I'm going to start with the bottom approach. Oh, they're doing the attachment Joseki. I actually do like this Joseki. I think this is a good choice for the Sanrinsei. When you already have a move here at Q10, I think that's very useful. And they are just going to extend. Good. Very happy about that. We could attach, or we could just do the diagonal. I think the diagonal is the one that I usually suggest, so that's what I'm going to play. Oh, going to turn right away. We could go into the corner now, honestly, but I don't want to let them Atari my stone on the outside, so I will just extend. The first priority is always maintaining your shape and then going for the big move after. In this case, since they are wanting to build the center, I'm going to do the diagonal move here, moving towards the top side. This is why I said it's a little bit harder for them to approach, because if they approach normally, they are giving up the top side and not continue to grow their moyo. This is a little bit unusual. We usually do not want to play this way. But after our corner has been taken away, we do want to make sure we have a base on top. So I am just going to take that base on top. Just a large knight's move instead of going too far, which gives too many invasion points in the future. I'm playing a very far extension. And if we really wanted to, we could invade to try to attack in some way, but I like to do one step at a time. So I'm going to threaten the invasion instead of invading directly. Oh, they're just coming in right away. Okay. It's not too big of a deal. We usually would kick and pincer this sort of thing, but we have some slightly bad shape in regards to that. So in this case, I'm actually just going to do a iron pillar. I don't want them going into the corner to make a base. I want them going to the side. And if they're going this far to the side, now we can invade because they expanded too far in an area where I am stronger. So in this case, it's more of an attack. It's interesting. We can capture in the center here and then go back and take the corner, which would be really nice. And I think that's what I want to do. But the thing we have to think about is like, so what did I say? Capture in the corner. We Hane, they cut, we Atari, they go underneath and we capture. But we do have to think about what happens if they pull back. So if they pull back on the left side, I'm okay with that. Whereas if they pulled back on the right side, I feel like maybe this could be too small. So I'm going to Hane on this side first. Then Atari. They could extend if they wanted to. They are going to Atari down, which is actually probably a mistake. Usually you Atari underneath. So we should double check to see if this is a mistake. And if it's too complicated to read, then we just capture anyway. So if we extend down, they extend up. We could try to get some sort of ladder, but our opponent has stones on the outside on both sides. So it's probably better just to capture and not worry about it. And now that we have this extra strength here in the center, we can go back and take the corner and be very happy with this result. Usually want to extend here. We don't want to let them Hane underneath. So now we have this extra strength in the center, and we have this invasion on the left side we can do. So we could do that right away, because that is making a weak group for our opponent, or we could just play a big move. Both options are perfectly fine, but because they already have an extension, I do kind of want to play a big move. However, I'm not thinking about building on the top side. I think I would rather come inside their area. So I'm going to start with the invasion instead. Because if I'm running towards the center, maybe it's easier for me to go inside on the left side. I'm doing this close invasion because if we go too close to the other stone, they could attach on top and do a cross cut, which makes it difficult for us. I will block. I could also surround. Surrounding is usually a really good first step. So actually, I think I will just surround to keep it very simple. Because we've isolated their stone on the outside, and we can still go back and block in the corner, which makes their group not 100% alive. In this case, we just connect. We don't care what they're doing here. If we wanted to extend down, we could, but there's no reason to. They're kicking, so we will respond. This is getting rid of our invasion point, which is really nice. So now that we have something that's running towards the center, we kind of know if we want to do that a top approach or the right side approach now. We also can still block in the upper left because the group is not 100% alive if we really wanted to do that. I'm not going to worry about that for now. And I think because we have a weak group that we can aim at, now I'm going to just approach on top. This can also build us the top side. So this feels perfectly good. And this time, the Hane is still probably fine here, honestly. But I'm looking to extend into the corner because I kind of want the corner more. Yep. But that's just 100% personal preference here. There's nothing really that I need to worry about. I will just extend down again. And I'm going to extend down one more time. Make sure we're just alive in the corner. And now we can cut this one stone off because we are strong on the left side and our corner is alive. Because we're strong everywhere, I'm not really making a weak group here. What I'm doing is I'm sort of potentially erasing the center if he wanted to run that stone out. Since he doesn't want to, I get a lot more points instead, which I'm very happy with. I'll extend one more time. We don't want to let them Hane at the head of our stones. And now they are going to continue to build here in the center. So we've gotten a lot of points on the top. We've gotten another corner in the bottom right and another corner in the bottom left. So we're feeling pretty good about that. And what do they have? They do have this weak group here in the center. So I think I want to attack this group. This is where you have to be a little bit careful. If I peep now, they could decide to give up the 2 stones and make more in the center. Is that a good idea for them or not? Is something you need to always ask yourself before you do something like a peep. The peep will make black heavier, but is it a good idea? If they go to take the outside, there's still a giant hole on the bottom side here. So I think it's okay. So I am going to do the peep. I want to peep on this side just because that's where I have a cutting point. And I want to give myself a little bit more flexibility with this left side area. I think I can just capture the stone if they do cut, but this feels like the right side to do it on. And now, as I said, we want to reduce their area. So instead of pushing them towards that area, we are going to start with capping them here, getting our influence while attacking this group. And then we're going to be able to jump towards the center here. Just turning directly. All right. I don't mind pulling back because that also fixes our cutting point here. And it makes so they can't make an eye. So I'm going to just pull back. They're going to do that again. So I will be jumping to prevent them from running to the center. Yep, just connect. Make sure all my groups are connected nice and solidly. I'm not at all thinking about killing this group. If they let that happen, it will happen. Like this right here, we're able to diagonally go through here, which separates the stones, which is not a good idea. And now they're making a bad shape, which allows us to cut through. So we're just going to cut. Yep, and I'm going to cut this direction here with this Atari, because this just feels better for me. Because I think when I have 3 stones in a row with this extra liberty, I think my shape is a little stronger. Yep, just going to connect on the outside. Capturing the stone is not important. The cut was what was important. We need to keep our liberty strong on the outside. That is the next important step here. We should probably look at the cut, but because we can capture the stone, the cut is not too important, I believe. So we're able to just push it to the top, which is where we're strong. Yep, we can just Atari directly here. And then we can extend up towards the top side because they still have to go back and connect over here, and then we can still run to the center. The only thing I don't know is if I want to Atari first. If I just extend up and then they Atari me and extend up the same way, then they are getting an eye potentially here. So let's just Atari. This will make the top side a little bit stronger. But this is getting rid of some of their eye shape, so that's why I think it's okay. Sometimes you don't want to leave this ko shape here, but in this case, the ko is not a cut. It's just a ko that doesn't do anything, so we can just connect now. They do have to be very, very careful here. If we want to be very severe, we can probably just cut this stone off directly. If they extend, then we take a liberty, and we're hurting the 3 stones quite a lot. That is probably the way you should play. If they counter-attack you just capture or extend is probably fine. And then our group is so strong that it doesn't matter anymore. So that is probably the right way. The other way to play, if you want to be a little bit more safe, is to just Atari from above and push down when they connect. But I think this is probably the stronger way to play. So in this case, I want to do it because I want to focus on the liberties of these 3 stones. That is the important aspect right now, the liberties of these 3. Yep, we're just going to keep focusing on the liberties and separating them, of course. Okay, I will just connect. No reason not to, or no reason to play anything special. Okay, so this is where fun reading stuff could come in. And that is, we could push down again, but they only have 3 liberties. And if we push down, they extend and they get even more liberties. So we have to be very careful. Instead, we can potentially do this nose hit. That's what it's normally known as, the nose tesuji. And that keeps them to 2 liberties. And no matter where they turn, they still only have the 2 liberties. So I think that is probably the appropriate move. A really cool tesuji to always think about in your games. Liberties are extremely important. When you're in a fight, if you can really focus on the liberties your opponent has and your own liberties to make sure you don't run out of any, then you can often find these types of variations and be more severe, like I showed here. Something like this does require more reading, though. So while I said I wasn't aiming to kill at the beginning, you saw that what allowed me to potentially surround them, making it very likely that they are dead. I'm not sure I can see a way for them to live. But it was because they played shape that just let me cut through. And then they didn't try to live, really. And now they're going to try to live, but now it's also going to be hurting their other group. I'm just going to block. I don't need to worry about anything else. I'm just separating. That's the most important part. And we'll just block here as well. I don't want them to expand their ice base to my corner. They don't really have that much eye shape here. And you can actually just try to find like the type of shape that would live. When I say that is like if they have a 4 in a row that's bent, that can live. If they have 4 as a blocky shape, they can't live, right? And so when I'm looking at this, that's why I always reduce from the outside first. Because if I push in here, they block. And now they have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulky 5 type shape. If I play the other side, it's also doing the same sort of thing. And they can get maybe this move for free, maybe this move over here because they're threatening the ko. So they have this maybe 6 eye spot. So we just need to make it a bulky 5. That'd be by pushing here or hane or hane. So in this case, the hane that I would rather have them capture a stone with is this one. So I'm going to hane on this side. Because if they capture this stone, I turn, I'm hurting their corner quite a lot. And now we can just, we don't even have to throw in necessarily. We could also hane again. But now we can throw into the bulky 5 spot here. Yep, now I turn. Like I said, if after they capture this, I want to turn. It makes me feel good here. Because it's hurting their corner. Yep, and then I can just block again. The corner is still more damaged than it was before. I'm just going to jump back. I want to play the shape that is the strongest in regards to how I'm answering here. Because yes, I could block. If they connect, then I'll have to OA move anyway. But if they're a dead group, it's okay if they come into my territory. So I'm going to be jumping back to make sure that I don't have any weakness in my own area. The jump is usually the strongest way to move back if you want to fix weakness. Okay, so this is where we need to be a little bit careful. In this case, we just want to make sure we're connecting our stones. I don't believe they can make an eye here, but the first thought is still connecting. So we're just going to connect here. The only thing that I was potentially worried about was a move like F17 earlier, where they're threatening to connect up underneath and threatening to cut off my stones. But in that case, we would also just be connecting. We can let them have the points there, especially if they're dead here in the center, or on this left side, I guess. That move is not necessarily Sente. So the question I have is if I respond to it, can I still hurt the corner? And I think the answer is yes, I can still damage the corner. And then if I don't respond, I'm losing quite a few points. So I will answer in this case. because it would also be perfectly fine to be jumping towards the center to reduce them, because that's probably worth a similar amount of points. But that's why I wanted to make sure if I could still technically damage the corner. Okay. In this case, we want to create the shape that's the strongest here again. When you have the 2 stones here and a stone that's a knight's move away, if we turn here, it turns into the table shape. So we can turn here to be very strong and secure. Because if we extend, technically they can push and cut, whereas here they can no longer cut. So I'm looking for the shape that is not cuttable as best as possible. We already extended multiple times with these stones, giving us much stronger position on the top. So we don't have to worry about them pushing and cutting here because we'll be able to capture the stones because we have enough liberties. We have to play Tengen because it's Tengen. But apart from that, we don't have to necessarily continue. We do want to keep an eye on our liberties here. Yep, like this. We do want to keep an eye on these liberties. So we're going to be very careful with that. Oh, looks like they're trying to find something super cool here. And it looks like it does potentially work. So if I capture, they Atari, I connect, then they can Atari, I connect, and I die. So I will capture anyway. So they end up saving the left side group, which is really cool. Really nice tesuji. As long as I do it in the right order, of course. There we go. So they end up saving this, but I will just be moving out towards the center. Yep. So that they save the left side. But now we get to look at the corner. So left side's fine. Corner needs the help now. So what I was thinking was we could potentially push in here. Maybe even just turn here. Let's try just turning here to see how the corner is. That was really cool tesuji that they found. As you saw, I made sure to read that. Didn't just completely fall into it. Looks like I'm fine with playing here. I don't want to let that Atari happen. That will let them live, but I'm just going to play here to get rid of that eye space. Now they only live with 2 points, so I end up getting something here, which is really nice. But now, as I said, we have this really nice influence towards the center. This is what I originally wanted anyway. So we get to jump towards the top side. I'm not sure which way I want to do it. We could actually just invade too, but I'm not going to try to be too extreme in that regard. We have a lot of points here on the top. We have some nice points here in the bottom left. This corner actually, I mean, this group does actually need a little bit of help. So we could actually go after it a little bit, but I don't think there's really a reason to for now. So I just want to do something over here. So I'm going to attach just for fun. You could jump, could reduce in a bunch of different ways, but attachment just looks like a fun move to play. If they just extend, they can do that if they really want to, all right? If they just extend, then that's fine. Interesting. They're going to be very much attacking me, but the problem is I only need 2 liberties on this middle group, and I have more than 2. So which side is more weak? It's actually really hard to say. I'm going to look at the cutting point here as the biggest weakness that I can exploit, so I'm going to Hane on the top side. We could connect, could do another fun move, could also block. Blocking would be if we wanted to live on the top or on the side of the board. They get to cut, we get to Hane and connect and maybe do some damage and then go to live. I'm going to focus more on just the escape aspect, so I'm just going to connect here instead. Focus more on this escape. So I'm going to be pushing through and cutting. So the cut isn't necessarily for doing anything special to this area. If they connect, it's just to get more shape from my group. So I think I want to cut on this side. I'm not sure. I think either one's probably fine. Yeah, the point here is just the shape aspect. So let's just get more shape. Any reason to do this? No, not really. Well, now that we have a bunch of Ataris on this group here, we can probably just go back to the other side. And so I'm going to be playing this attachment here just to make sure I'm connecting up as best I can. This seems like the best way to do it. So we don't have to play any of these Ataris right now. We can in the future. We may end up playing a bad shape here, depending on how they Hane. But yeah. Here we're just going to be playing this, I said, slightly bad shape. Oh, okay. That is quite interesting. Looks like I ended up in danger somehow, and they are reading very well. So we probably have to try to do something more special now. So I'm going to need to try to use their liberties as best I can. So I'm going to go for this sort of move here. We're aiming to sort of connect up in some way. Yep, playing the Hane to make some sort of shape. So it's looking like this is probably going to be a bad idea. I could try my hardest to try to figure this out. I think I see at least one eye. I see a way to get out of this, potentially, but I think it's going to end up being a bad idea. So instead of continuing to fight this, we're going to give it up for now. We're just going to back off here. I decided to take some time to make sure. So we're just going to back off here, let them fix this one. Interesting shape. That's actually the appropriate shape here. Probably a really, really good move. But I don't want to worry about that for now. Our group is fine here. We can maybe come in a little bit into their area. And we're just going to let that group be dead and not worry about it. And we'll just continue to play as if nothing is really too wrong here. So we want to go after this group to some extent. And I think this is a potentially good way to do it. They're going to be able to connect out, but we're fixing our problem here, which is what we're aiming for right now. So I'm going to say we just made a mistake and see how we can just continue the game. We did lose a bit here. And I will back off probably. No reason to block. If we block, they can just block as well. Let's see what shape they play here. If they do the jump is really nice shape. I will block in the corner. So I don't want them pushing in there to getting more eye space for themselves. Interesting. This is paying attention to my liberties quite a lot. I think we have enough liberties to play this Hane. I want to double check. They should probably just capture, and then we can connect solidly. That's one way they can play, because if we capture, they just Atari, it's no good. So we could capture the stones cleanly, or we could connect. If we connect, it's not necessarily clean, so I'm going to just capture the stones. Probably no reason to do this, but I think I want to anyway. I'm just sort of trying to connect up to my stones. It's still somewhat threatening the life and death here. It's not perfect, but if they connect, then they're alive. If they don't connect, they are not alive yet. So we're cutting them off, making sure my stones are strong. And then this Hane here gets us more points in the center, which they are going to prevent right away. But we have enough liberties to deal with this because they only have this one liberty on this group here. And there is a cutting point here as well. So we are able to do this diagonal move now, for example, threatening to come into their area, which is also threatening the cutting point. And I guess we'd want to Atari if we really want to do this properly. But then we could cut, and we should be good enough on liberties because there's only one here. So yeah, I'm going to Atari here and then just cut this off. Because if we get to capture this, we'd be very happy. Really? That's very weird. There is only one liberty here, right? So we'll capture this. That didn't quite make any sense, but I'm okay with it. We're able to at least turn in here, which feels very good. It's also really threatening the shape locally. Playing very, very weird moves here because I can still cut as well. So I'm fine with, I guess, just cutting this off and taking this, or even capturing here, which is making this not alive yet. I'm going to push in one time here, because if they connect their ko, then when I push again, it is no longer two eyes. And if they block here, it is now a ko technically. Okay, so just leaving that, because I could have captured, but it ends up not being a big deal, because I end up capturing the bottom side instead. It is still a ko right now, so it could be good to actually play another move right away to make it completely dead. Also very tempting to do like a move like this one. But I think we will just finish off the group here. The best way to do it is not to take the ko, but to push here, getting rid of the eye. So that is what I will do. We can just block. That doesn't matter too much. Normally they could actually attach there, which gives them Sente and reduces another point or so. So the extension is not the normal move here. But it's kind of not that good of an idea right now. Because when I block, this is an Atari, of course. They have to capture. And then I can Atari again. And so they can't cut me still. They have to connect. And then when I connect, I'm threatening to capture the 3 stones. So they can Atari first if they want to, but then they'll have to go back and capture. Okay, he resigned. So I want to say that I think I got a little bit distracted on the top side, and I probably shouldn't have focused on the top side cut, but actually focused on the other side, because I think that was potentially easier to connect to. So let's actually look at that really quick. Let's view this. And I believe we are probably a higher rank now. Yet we are now 5Q, which is not too bad. But I think that's actually really good to look at, because I think the rest of the game was actually fairly straightforward if we look through here. We end up getting just some nice positions everywhere. Our opponent is leaving some stuff that's a bit too loose, really. And we just take advantage of that a little bit at a time. And then after we surrounded them, they actually did a fairly good job of finding this really cool tesuji here. It's really, really well done. So let's see here. If we really wanted to kill, I was mostly talking about the principles of killing here, but I'm fairly certain the group was already dead. And even after this Hane, there was not much they could do. So we fix all this, and they turn, and then they do this cool throw in. And then we have to fall back. The reason is because, of course, if we connect, and we die. That was actually, as I said, a really cool throw in. This is totally possible for anybody to find, honestly, if you do a lot of Go problems. So I guess technically, if I really want to kill it, I did need to go back and capture here. That was what I should have done. But like I said in the game, I have to play Tengen because it was Tengen, and that was a slight mistake. But that was really cool. No matter what, it looks like they can basically save something here, which is really nice. But like I said, if I want to keep it dead, apart from capturing earlier, the other thing that I could have made sure to do, as I said here, I didn't necessarily have to respond to this one, because I can give up the points here, and my other move was going to be jumping towards the center. And so this is probably what I should have done, honestly. The points here on the top side are not really that important, but I knew that technically I could harass the corner a little bit more, and I could do it in a lot of different ways. And I decided to do it in a way that probably didn't kill them, but it was okay overall. But just keep in mind, jumping out to the center now was probably the right move. I don't believe, let's actually look at this. If we get rid of these liberties, can black actually do something here? Yes, they can. Look at that. In this case, of course, we're double Ataring. So they can't quite do it right now, but that is something I'll have to keep a lookout for in the future. So maybe even better to push first and then jump. Really cool, actually. Nice Shortage of Liberties problem to look at. And then the real issue, I think, was how I ended up playing on the middle side of the board here. I didn't necessarily want to invade their area. All I really wanted to do was, for example, have them do this, and they slide, and now I have just a little bit of reduction here. And so this did actually end up coming and hurting me a little bit more than I thought, because after this move, when they do go to attack me later, it actually is harder than it seems. But now that I've looked at it, if we do the same thing that happened in the game, we'll do the same jump and everything. This is just the better side to do that, the better side for connectivity. And so you saw that I actually wasn't focused on connecting as much there, so I got a little bit greedy. However, the trick was, the second that I knew, there we go, the second that I realized there was a mistake here and that my opponent was doing really well, I had to pull back. So I played some moves that I thought were some nice shape moves to potentially take advantage of their liberties. I realized that I couldn't quite do that anymore. So I'm pulling back here. They play actually a really nice move with this one, which is actually a really cool thing to remember. It's something that you see in books and Tesuji as well. If they had done this one, for example, if you normally see this sort of situation and you pull back like this to prevent the cut, or you push, I guess, instead, the Hane here is going to hurt, and you'll have to pull back, and you'll have to pull back, and then I got to break in a little bit, right? And then this move here is the same. I get to attach here. Even if there's a push, after they Atari, I get to Atari again and connect. So I just keep getting to break into their area. So this is actually a really, really nice Tesuji again to clean up this area. So my opponent was very good at Tesuji. I think that was probably their strong suit. And that's why I ended up actually having a little bit of a problem when I overextended a little bit. However, if we take into consideration the points here right now, it's not too different from what it was in the game. I probably gave him an extra 10 points or so. So I just need to start playing big endgame, and the game will be fine. I wonder what happens if we do click the estimate score at this point. Yeah, I still said I'm leading by a bit here, and it is showing... I can move it over. Good. I wasn't sure if you'd be able to see it. There we go. It is showing this is dead, showing that there's something here, but it is saying that I'm probably still just pretty far ahead, which is why I wasn't too worried. It's easier to worry when you think you've lost the game than when you think you're still doing fine. I always think it's better to think of it as, well, I made a mistake. Let's just move on. And then if I lost the game, I know it was because of that mistake. In this case, I was doing pretty okay anyway. This was really nice. My opponent was very good at tesuji, and that was really cool to see. They just weren't really good at living with their groups, but tesuji can get you pretty far, honestly. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you have a good day and have fun.